Saying good morning to our listeners, those of you via Classic Radio 105.5, 105.9. Good morning, welcome to the Mid-Morning Buzz. Those of you also via GBN TV, Channel 7, Channel 11 on Channels 20. Good morning and welcome to another edition of the Mid-Morning Buzz here on, of course, GBN TV and Classic Radio. Like I'm repeating it again. Let's say good morning to my guests this morning, representing the NIS. And I didn't, it's like my bad not getting your name before we actually start a conversation. We was had this off-radio conversation, and I didn't grab your name. Your name?
Lisa Douglas. I'm the Public Relations Officer.
I have heard your name numerous times. I listen to the NIS program, and we do have it on mornings, and you was the one that always presenting.
Yes.
And for some reason, I didn't get you. But I know I can get it from the voice now, but never met the face. Met you in person. Nice meeting you. Welcome to the Big Morning Buzz. And our program this morning on the Mid Morning Buzz we speak about the new changes that we implemented pretty soon by the NIS. There's lots of changes. We've been hearing about it. We heard they, of course, been spoken in Parliament. We heard a couple of weeks ago there was actually a media briefing pertaining to it also. So we've been hearing about it. But so this morning, our presentation will basically give a little more insight in terms of what the listeners and viewers will be hearing and think that they should know about in the new changes that are soon to be implemented. So we're getting into our topic of discussion this morning. So we know the topic of the race in terms of the new age range that folks will be moving into. We talk and our conversation. Let's just kick the conversation off because of time purposes. There's been some old self-employed regulation that's been out there for a wee bit, and pretty soon that will be, if I could say it in layman's, that'll be abolished.
Actually, to a point. It has taken effect already.
Taken effect already?
Yes. Oh. July 1st.
So I'm the one who's behind it.
Yes, July 1st.
Well, let's talk about the old self-employed regulations, and let's talk about that, and then we're getting to the new ones that is actually for self-employed individuals.
Yes, with our old regulations, and if I didn't say before, thank you for having me, and a very pleasant morning to all your viewers and listeners. Our old self-employed regulations, obviously, it wasn't meeting the needs of persons who are self-employed. So we held some consultations with them, and we asked them, listen, tell us straight up, what are we getting wrong? What do you need? What are we not doing? And they were very forthcoming. Right. So they highlighted things like, you're treating us like employers. We don't earn monthly, but you want us to pay monthly on a fixed amount. You also have deadlines for us to pay, but we don't know when we're going to earn. It's unpredictable. So there's no flexibility there. In addition to that, they're saying you're charging us penalties and interest when we pay after your deadline. In addition to that, you're not making allowances if we become employees to pay both so we can get the best benefits that we can get. So coming out of all these suggestions, we consulted with an actuary and a framework was done, and we have new self-employed regulations that was introduced on July 1st.
Well, for missing it, I will definitely like to hear what those new self-employed, of course, regulations are.
Okay, so the new regulations now allows self-employed persons to pay as they earn when they earn. So there will be there is now a minimum and a maximum amount. Okay. So there's a $769 annually and $7,180 annually. That's the maximum and minimum.
Okay.
And you choose how much you want to pay, and you can also choose to pay in lump sums, so you don't have to wait every month to pay a fixed amount. Right. So let's suppose I chose my target for the year is $2,000. Right now I'm a soca artist. I make my windfall. I could come in right now and pay my $2,000, and that covers me for benefits for the rest of the year and the following year.
Okay, so let me just chime in on you here a bit. So I'm liking the sound of it. So you're saying I have the option now as a self-employed individual. All right, I choose one of the options. You tell me from $769. If I decide, well, that's what I want to pay per year, I can pay that lump sum and don't have to worry about coming to the NIS on a monthly basis.
That is correct.
Okay, great. And saying if I decide, well, my lump sum is going to be up to $7,000. $1,000. And if I come into that amount of money, I can pay it. And that covers me for an entire year.
That is correct. Right. Yes. If you overpay, then it would just be rolled over into the next year.
Okay.
If you underpay, and it's very important to note, if you underpay, then you are deciding you do not want to be covered for the short-term benefits. So if you pay less than $769 annually, it only covers you for the pensions, survivors pension, invalidity pension, age pension. So it covers you for the long-term benefits.
Okay.
But once you pay at least $769 annually, you're now covered for all the NIS benefits. And NIS Grenada is one of the few social security institutions in the region who offers all the benefits, including employment injury, and now including unemployment benefit to the self-employed.
Okay, I mean, that's interesting because, before, self-employed individuals didn't have much benefits coming to them.
Exactly.
Other than maybe after they have procured the amount of they should have on a yearly basis or to the time span that was allowed. But now, if you pay for that, once you paid for that year, you're entitled to the benefits.
All benefits. So you're entitled to sickness. If you become ill, you would be able to receive 65% of your insurable earnings. If you get injured on the job, we cover you for injury benefits. In addition, on the employment injury, it is important to remember we cover all associated medical and traveling expenses that are associated with treating that injury or disease. So doctor visits, pharmaceutical products. If you have to travel overseas, so you can't be treated in Grenada, your doctor says, listen, we have to refer you because we don't have the expertise to treat you here. You have to fly out. Once you're being referred and you get prior approval from the NIS, we cover the full cost of your airfare, your accommodation, and for all the medical expenses you would incur overseas.
And but in order to gain those benefits, you have to pay for the entire year.
Yes, you must register and you must pay at least $769 annually.
Annually.
Yes.
All right, great. That's interesting. What else we have? What else?
Right. So self-employed persons now, there no more penalties and interest. So because you're paying when you earn, so you no longer have a deadline to pay because we're allowing you, because self-employed person says, when we earn is unpredictable. I may go out to fish today and I catch nothing, but I may go out next week and I make a big catch. So that's when I get my money. So allow me to pay when I get the money. And you have no forms to fill out.
So that's like an added benefit there for you right now.
That's correct.
You don't no longer have to say, well, I don't have any money this month to pay. So if I don't pay the NIS still will forgo on you, but they still will encourage you to catch up, I will assume.
Yes, whenever you get it. So you have a period between January 1st and December 31st every year to make your payments.
Okay. And so that's go to the decision what you intended to pay for that year.
Right.
So if you don't pay January, you don't pay February, but somehow in June or July, you accumulate that money.
Come in and pay.
And that takes care of you for the entire year.
That's correct.
Interesting.
That's correct.
All right.
Yes. So we're encouraging self-employed persons. Right now we're reaching out to the different groups, our bus drivers, our taxi drivers. We're encouraging our soca artists, our calypsonians, our DJs. Once you're self-employed, it doesn't matter what you're doing. You're earning a living for yourself, by yourself, you're self-employed, we got you covered. You have no paperwork to do. If you're already registered, you have an NIS card, just call us, we would sort you out. Or if you don't, you come in with your certified birth certificate, we register you, and that also is paperless, and you can get on board and be covered.
All right. So I like what you say of this. It's entitled to everyone who's self-employed. So if you think you are an individual who do odd jobs around the area where you live or in your community or around the island, you do odd jobs, and you have never been paying NIS before, this is an opportunity to correct that.
Yes.
You understand? You come in, you make a decision in what you think you can afford to pay on a yearly basis. The more the better.
Definitely. Yes, it's important to note that because some persons would decide, okay, let me just pay the minimum. But remember, your benefits will be a percentage of what you pay. Okay. Because what we would do now when you make your payments, we would convert that into insurable earnings, that is your salary, and the contribution weeks for that year. So obviously, the more you pay, the higher your benefit. Right. Because if when we work it back, my salary works out to be $1,000 a month and I'm getting a sickness benefit, I get 65% of that.
Yes.
If my salary works out to be $3,000 a month, I would get 65% of $3,000, which obviously would be higher.
Exactly.
So it's also important to note that you get back, in terms of benefits, a percentage of what you pay.
All right, and that, I mean, and that's understandable from any point of view. The more you put in, the more you get back.
That's correct.
And move back, and that's interesting. So let's continue in terms of the of course the we're talking about what's effect from July the 1st. Those are some of the benefits. You speak of the benefits. What else is important for individuals to find, especially for this? Can we
have some
our
other
focus
changes.
a lot is on the self-employed.
Yes.
Right.
But there are changes that affects all of us. So we have the new unemployment benefit that we introduced from May 1st.
What's that?
And once you are involuntarily unemployed, so it means you did not commit fraud, you did not just walk off the job, you became involuntarily unemployed, then you can, from May 1st, you're now covered for unemployment benefits.
How long would that be in effect?
For up to 3 months.
3 months?
Yes, for up to 3 months. Now, it must be a case where you're not just sitting there relaxing, but you must be actively looking for work. We would also have a job matching service and a training component of that benefit. So let's suppose I was doing a particular job and I can't find work in that area. Through our training of the unemployment benefit, the NIS may require me to retool or to upskill, so I could get a job elsewhere. If I decide, no, I don't want any training, then that would disqualify you from the benefit.
Okay.
There would also be a job matching service. So you're an employer.
And NIS will take care of that component for you.
Yes. We would work together with the National Training Agency.
Okay.
So we could have that established. So you're an employer, you need employees. We have persons who are unemployed. That we would have a database where we can match employers with employees. So if you refuse suitable employment, that would also be...
That's run into a problem for you. So you lose that benefit that you could have gotten in that 3 months space of time.
Right.
I guess it will wrap up after 3 months.
Yes.
But if in that 3 months time we see that you're actively looking for a job, and maybe, as you said, there's a new opportunity that NIS see which we could fit you in here, but you need some training in order to fit into that new job, and you offer that, you continue, you pick up that new job that you offer, then your benefit continues.
That's correct, for up to 3 months. 50% of your income for up to 3 months.
Okay.
No, after the 3 months pass, you must get back into the workforce for at least a year before you could qualify for unemployment benefit again.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, other changes that we have gazetted now is the increase in the pensionable age. So we want to make an appeal for persons, especially if you would be 60 next year. You need to call us to find out how it would affect your pension amount, because from 2024 the pensionable age would increase to 61 and then it would go to 65 by 2028. So every year it would increase by 1.
Would that also affect your pension payment or your NIS payment as it goes along?
Yes, if you don't want to wait for the increased age. So persons will know, it would now become a retirement pension, and persons would now have the opportunity to claim early retirement starting from age 60. So next year, God's will, the pension age is 61. If I decide no, for whatever reason I don't want to wait, I want it at 60, then I would have to take a 5% reduction in my pension rate.
In terms of, you would lose 5% of what you would have gotten if you waited until you get to 65
That's
or 67.
Correct. Yes.
Is it 65 or 67?
65 it would 65. Get to by 2028.
2028. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So for every year you take it earlier than you're supposed to, the reduction would be 5%. So if you take it 2 years earlier, then 10%. 3 years, 15%.
Okay. So that's understandable. So if you decide at you taking it at 60, you lose 5%.
No, yes, 60, and that's for next year.
That's for next year.
But as it continues to increase, it increases also.
Okay, so if I decide at 65, at 63, I may lose 10 to 15%
so
between
if
I'm trying to get the gas of it.
Right, so if you're supposed to take it at 63 and you go 2 years early, you lose 10%.
10%.
Yes.
Okay.
If you go 1 year early, 5%.
And that's when it takes that full effect from next year.
From next year.
Okay.
Yes.
That's understandable.
Yes.
Understandable.
And we have other changes also that are necessary. Now, because we waited so long to make these changes, since 2002, our actuaries have been saying, listen to me, if you don't change, you would end up in a situation where you pay out more than you collect. And it's happening. In fact, for 2021 and 2022, the NIS had to liquidate assets, meaning investments that we had to call it in early to get cash in order to pay out benefits, because contribution income and investment income were not enough. So we had to call in term deposits in excess of $14 million, both in 2021 and 2022, and it's projected to continue to happen in 2023. So, that's an unsustainable way to live, right? To operate rather.
Right. No business wants to be operating at that.
And because we waited so late, no one change would be able to turn around the situation. So increasing the pension age is not enough. The contribution rate also needs to be increased.
Yes.
So from January 1st, the contribution rate would move to 12.5%. It's currently at 12%. So
12.5 from January 2024.
Right.
Okay.
So every year is projected that there'll be a 0.5% increase.
Okay.
So employees would pay 1/4%, employers pay 1/4%.
And what
extra.
is the projected percentage at up to what, 2031?
Yes, 2020,
what is the projected
2031, 16%.
16%.
Yes.
That will reach at that at 16%.
Yes.
So there's a percentage until we get to 2031.
Yes.
Okay.
The number of weeks, the minimum number of weeks required for a pension also would change. So it would increase by 25 every year. Right now, the minimum requirement for an age pension is 500 weeks.
Yes.
So that would increase by 525 come January 1st, 2024. Then 2025, it would increase to 550, 2026, 575. So 25 each year, again, until it gets to 750.
So, and that's the new qualifying pension.
Right. In addition to the pension formula, right now.
What if you're over 750?
Right. So for the additional sets of contributions you have, you get an additional 1%.
Okay.
So right now, once you reach 500 weeks, for your first 500, you get 30% of your best salary, and for each additional year you have, an additional 1% is added to that.
Okay.
So that would change to 750 eventually in 2031. So for that first 750 you get 25% instead of 30%, and then 1% for each additional year.
All right.
Yes.
Oh, great. What else we should be finding out.
Good news for survivors.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, one of the things that was stated in the law for a child to get a survivor's benefit is that you must have been totally or mainly maintained by the parent. So if a father passed and you were not maintaining your child, the law stated then the child wasn't allowed the survivor's benefit, which is a disadvantage to the child.
Yes.
You're suffering twice, basically.
Yeah. So
the laws were amended, and that took effect August 1st. So it was gazetted last month, and now from August 1st, once you could prove that it's the person's child, you don't have to prove that the person was maintaining the child.
Once you can certainly prove that that's the individual child,
right?
That's what they get.
So once it's certified, meaning it's stated on the birth certificate or it's presumed,
yes.
So everybody know you.
Yeah, that was treaty.
Yes. Then the child would be covered for the survivor's benefit.
Okay.
The age at which they can start receiving the benefit, the maximum age at which they can start receiving the benefit, has also increased.
Yes.
Before, to start receiving the benefit, the child must have been under age 16. So you had to be 15 and under.
Yes.
But now that has increased to age 18.
All right.
So you must be under age 18 now to start receiving the benefit. Of course, they would continue receiving the benefit up to age 21.
Okay.
But that age where they can start has increased. So that's very, very good.
I guess by 21 you're probably employed and you've taken care of your own self.
Definitely.
That's understandable. Well, it's interesting. I'm listening to the new, of course, benefits and so forth, and what has been gazetted and so forth, and it seems to be beneficial for individuals themselves, and family.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, most certainly, because the actuarial reviews that are required every 3 years is for 2 main reasons. One, to make sure that the benefits and services we offer are meeting the needs of our population. Yeah. So we have to change as the needs of our population changes, and also to ensure the fund is sustainable. So we have to understand, while yes, we're paying out more in benefits, we also have to make sure the income side is taken care of so we can continue paying those benefits. If we don't, we would end up going under, and we definitely don't want that to happen.
Great.
So we encourage persons to call us 440-3309, 440-6647, or on WhatsApp 458-6060 or 403-7512. So contact us if you need more information.
All right. Ms. Douglas, I want to thank you so much for sharing the information this morning. It was definitely different information. I have learned a lot this morning, because sometimes you hear it, but then the way you explained this morning has certainly brought a different feel to it. And I certainly sure that our listeners and viewers over there has heard something different. Every time you listen, you hear something different, right?
That's true.
You hear something different every time. And so thank you so much. I think it's imperative that the NIS probably could continue to share this information on our regular basis.
Most certainly.
Because you may come back and re-explain this another time, and it may sound even different than the way we did today.
Yes.
Thank you so much once again, and all the best. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
All right. Hey, folks, that's where we come to the end of today's program, the Mid-Morning Buzz, here on Classic Radio and GBN TV. Until then, have yourself a good one, folks. Goodbye.